How's it going, guys? I hope you guys are having a great week. So Christmas is just around the corner, guys. It's only a few weeks away, and like me, I'm sure many of you are shopping for friends, family and loved ones, and are wondering what games are good to buy this holiday season. Well, this video series is designed to get you ready. It's designed to give you some advice and insight into some of the best games to buy for friends this Christmas. So this video today, we're going to actually look at the 5 best exclusives to buy for the Xbox One this holiday season. Now, these are in no particular number order, so 5 isn't the worst, number 1 isn't the best, not how I'm doing it in this video, but it's 5 games that I think are definitely worth picking up and that I think would make great gifts for your friends and family. So without further ado, let's jump in, let's get to it. So the first game I want to talk about today, which I think is a great purchase for anyone that has an Xbox One, is Recall. This game actually came out back in 2016 and it's really unique, interesting game. So it's obviously developed by Concept and Amateur Studio. It is an action adventure platforming game, and the world and setting is really interesting. So it's actually set 200 years in the future, in which the Earth has been subjected to a disease which is called the Dust Devil Plague. This has ravaged the planet, and as a result, mankind has actually turned to the stars to look for colonizing other worlds. So an organization called Mandate basically launched several missions to a planet called Far Eden. They actually sent several thousand core bots out to this planet ahead of colonists to build the atmosphere and kind of terraform the planet to make it livable and breathable for the future settlers. You actually play as Jewel Adams, one of these colonists, and you wake up from cryogenic sleep to discover that something went very wrong with this mission, and that these core bots that were sent out to the planet, something's gone wrong with them and many of them have been corrupted. Along the way, you try and repair these core bots, and some of them stay with you as your companions. The most interesting element to this game probably is the different companions that you can have. There are different styles of core bots, and they all have different kind of abilities and different kind of elements and different colors that you can work with. So you can actually use them in puzzle solving elements in it. There is combat in the game as well, with enemies that you can fight. It's really interesting concept. It's really interesting world, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was quite a solid platforming experience, and I quite enjoyed the different bots that you can customize and upgrade and take along with you. So I really liked the aesthetic and the art and the design. So you can actually beat the game in roughly about 18 hours, and in terms of rating, Peggy gave it an age rating of 12 plus, and in America the ESRB gave it, of course, a T for teen rating as well. So yeah, it's well worth picking up this holiday season. The next game I want to talk about is Quantum Break. This came out back in 2016. It, of course, is developed by Remedy Entertainment. It's a science fiction action adventure third person shooter with some platforming elements, but it's really interesting. It involves sort of time travel, and I love anything that's related to time travel. The main character is a guy called Jack Joyce, and you, through an accident involving a time machine and experiment, you are actually granted powers to manipulate time. You actually come into conflict with a former friend by the name of Paul Serene, and the rest of the story is about kind of trying to stop Paul from completing this experiment, which could result in a complete temporal breakdown, a huge catastrophe. You actually travel through time. You can get sort of snippets of events and premonitions, and it's really cool. It's got really cool sort of time travel element to it as well, which is really awesome. But what is the coolest part of this game probably is the combat and the different abilities that you've got. So you can, of course, manipulate time to slow down time. That can help with puzzle solving and platforming. but also in combat. So you can actually freeze enemies, you can like speed run and speed up your own time, so you can zip behind enemies. You have like a time shield as well, which is really, really cool. You can put a bubble on enemies and shoot them, and that does increase damage. It just has some really, really cool moments throughout it. As you progress through the story, you do make certain key decisions as well. They're known as junction points, where you will make certain key choices, and that will actually impact the way that the story progresses and the outcome of the story as well. So it's a really interesting story. The facial animations are great, really good solid sort of facial capture animation, good voice acting and delivery, interesting enough storyline, and the story does resolve quite satisfactory, but the combat is the best, and that the time powers that you've got are really, really cool as well. This game did try something a little bit new. It did actually introduce a live action television show. So as you play through the game will pause, and then you will watch one of these episodes, which kind of shows the consequences of your decisions in the game. It was a really interesting concept. Personally speaking, I preferred the game obviously to this TV show, and this does pull you out of the game a little bit and really slow things down. But if you don't mind that, and you actually enjoy it, it is actually a really interesting game and really interesting story, and I actually really enjoyed it. So yeah, that is obviously Quantum Break. You can beat it in about 13 hours, so it's not too long a game. In terms of age rating as well, it has in Europe a PEGI age rating of 16 plus, and in America it is actually rated M for mature. So just to obviously give you that insight there if you're thinking about buying it for children. So the next game I want to talk about is Halo 5 Guardians, or just the Halo Master Chief Collection. Of course, Halo is a huge franchise. It is the staple franchise of Microsoft, of the Xbox. It's been with Microsoft pretty much since day one, since the original Xbox console came out. Halo 5 Guardians is actually the 7th mainline entry in the series. It's developed, of course, by 343 Industries, and of course it's a first-person shooter. The premise of the story is kind of interesting. You actually play as two different characters, so you don't play as Master Chief throughout the entirety of the game. The game basically follows two fire teams of human super soldiers. So you have the blue team, which is led by Master Chief, who you will play as, and Master Chief is trying to track down the artificial intelligence Cortana, who's kind of gone a bit rogue, and he's kind of gone off the radar, and he's trying to track her down and find out what's going on and maybe stop her. The other team is Fire Team Osiris, so this is led by Spartan Locke, and you also will get to play as Locke throughout it. So because Master Chief has kind of gone rogue, his loyalty has been called into question, and Team Osiris are basically sent to retrieve him, to track him down and bring him in. The story, in terms of the storyline, it's an okay story. It's not terrible, but I think for some people they felt it played it a little bit too safe, or they would have enjoyed to play Master Chief a little bit more. But the story is an okay story. It has some really cool worlds that you explore, some really cool set pieces. There are some really great moments in the story as well, and visually it's a beautiful looking game. The great, really tight combat that you expect from the Halo franchise is here as well. So it's really got some really awesome action set pieces, some really good weapons, some really good combat, but then the multiplayer on top of the story is what makes this a really great purchase. It has some fantastic multiplayer options. There are a ton of maps. I think there's like 35 maps. There's a lot of free downloadable content that came out with the game. It's got some really good strong multiplayer, but then apart from just Halo 5 Guardians, you also are able to purchase the Halo Master Chief Collection, which is well worth the money. This actually includes all of the Halo franchise. So you've got Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, Halo 4, Halo Reach, and all these are sort of high definition and have had kind of graphical upgrades. This entire franchise provides massive value for money. So if you've never played any of the Halo games, I would absolutely pick up Halo Master Chief Collection, play through the whole thing, and then obviously pick up Halo 5 Guardians. You can beat Halo 5 Guardians in roughly about 12 hours, so it's not a massively long single player experience. And then of course the Halo Master Chief Collection, you can probably finish that in about 48 hours, give or take. So the two combined, you're looking at a pretty nice solid sort of chunk of gameplay there available to you. So in terms of age rating, it is rated, PEGI have rated it 16 in Europe, so 16 plus, and in America the ESRB have rated it T for 14. But if you own an Xbox One, or you know someone that has an Xbox One and doesn't have any of the Halo games, really they should be getting on that. The Halo franchise is a great franchise, and it's well loved by many of the fans. So the next game I want to talk about is Ori and the Blind Forest. Now I know this isn't a complete exclusive on the Xbox now, because in September this year it actually became available on the Nintendo Switch, which is great. It's great to see Microsoft and Nintendo working so closely together now, which is really awesome. But I am putting this on this list because it's a fabulous game. It's an amazing 2D side-scrolling sort of platforming game. It's beautiful game. But I'm also putting it on here because the sequel, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, is actually set to come out, I think, in February 2020, and that will be an exclusive on the Xbox One. So its sequel is going to be an exclusive. So I think if you have an Xbox One, you should play Ori and the Blind Forest first, so that you're ready to jump into the sequel, which comes out next year. Ori and the Blind Forest for me is one of the most visually stunning games on the Xbox One. It is a beautiful game. It came out in 2015. Of course, it's developed by Moon Studios. Like I said, it's a 2D platforming adventure Metroidvania style game. So as you unlock powers and abilities, you can come back and explore areas of the map and unlock certain areas of the map. But you play as Ori, a small white guardian spirit. It's a beautiful looking game. The art style of this game is just so incredible. It's got a really gorgeous soundtrack, gorgeous visual design, really tight-knit, fluid platforming gameplay. The story is also really interesting, and it's got some really emotional moments as well. It's a wonderful game to play, and if you haven't played Ori and the Blind Forest, you really do owe it to yourself to pick it up and have a go at it, because it's probably one of the best indie titles and one of the best platforming games that has come out on the Xbox One period. It's gorgeous art style, story, action sequences, musical score is just, it's beautiful, and it's really good game. So in terms of completion, you can actually beat the game in about 10 hours, so it's a pretty decent game in terms of length, and it's not one that you're going to have to put 60-70 hours into, so you can maybe sit down and play it in a couple of evenings and finish it. In terms of age rating, in Europe, PEGI have given it an age rating of 7+, and in America, the ESRB have given it a rating of E for everyone. So yeah, Ori and the Blind Forest, well worth picking up and playing. And finally, the last game that really is a must buy on the Xbox One if you don't own it is Gears 5. This actually came out this year in July 2019. It's developed by the Coalition. Of course, it's a third-person shooter. It's a sixth installment in the Gears series, and I'm nearly finished it. I'm nearly there at the end of the game, and I am loving my experience of playing it. I think actually this is one of the best Gears stories that I've played in quite a while. I think it's actually better than Gears 4 that came out. Gears 4 was an okay sort of revamp of the series and introduced some new characters, but it played it a little bit too safe. But Gears 5 definitely feels like a return to form. It focuses on the story of Kate Diaz, played by Laura Bailey, who gives an incredibly powerful, emotion-filled performance. She really deserved her nomination this year for delivery, and yeah, I hope she wins. I really do. I think she actually deserves to win for her performance in Gears 5. So it focuses on Kate's story and Kate's sort of goal to uncover the mystery of the origins of the Locust, as well as her own family history and her family lineage. It takes the series and the franchise in new and really interesting direction. It is much more about character development, so it really looks at Kate and her own, you know, motivations and her own experience and who she is, and it also has got some really good character development for some of the other characters as well. Of course, we've got JD Phoenix. He was the main character that you played in Gears 4. He's back, of course, and then we've got Del, Kate's best friend. He's also back, and of course Marcus Phoenix is back, who's, you know, from the original 3 Gears of War games. It is exactly as you would expect of a Gears franchise. It's got some amazing combat, some great action set pieces, really visceral combat as well. The different guns and weapons that you can use are great. What was really nice for this version as well is it introduced a new kind of open world mechanic, a skiff that you can pilot around, and that really introduced some nice new dynamics to exploring areas of the world for sort of side content and exploration points and that kind of thing. And it really does reward your exploration. You know, you do get some really cool weapons and some really cool unlocks and crafting, you know, materials to upgrade your bot that joins the party as well. So it's really good game. So not only do you have a really great single player experience, which is fab, but then you also do have a huge multiplayer section to the game as well. So we'll actually support 3-player split screen, you know, couch co-op throughout the story, and also online co-op as well. So you can play the story through with a friend, which is really awesome. And then of course you've got the multiplayer side of it as well. So there's a ton of multiplayer game modes. There's versus arcade, horde mode, and the new escape mode as well, which is really cool. So you can actually beat the game, in the story element of the game anyway, in about 14 hours. And in terms of age rating, of course in Europe it's rated PEGI rating of 18+, and in America of course it's M for mature. But for me, Gears 5 is probably the best game out on the Xbox One at the moment. It is a must-buy exclusive. If you have an Xbox One and you haven't bought Gears 5, then yeah, you really need to get on that, because it's a really great game and it's well worth buying. So there you go. There are just a couple of the best exclusives to buy on the Xbox One for anybody that you know that owns that console, or you're looking to purchase some games for yourself or some for friends or family. Hope you guys find this video interesting and informative. Of course, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I will be back again next week. Next week, I'm actually going to talk about 5 of the best games to buy on the Nintendo Switch. And there's so many games. So just picking 5 is going to be really challenging. But I will do my best, guys. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great week. Of course, take care. And as always, happy gaming. Merry Christmas, guys.